In this video we're going to talk about survey designs, and in particular we're going to focus in on the customer satisfaction survey. Now, the customer satisfaction survey, this is an important tool which provides a source of feedback from customers and therefore can be used by the organization to tweak its product, to engage in product development. It'll help in research and development. It'll help in the direction, the strategic direction of the business. So customer satisfaction surveys are very important tools within business. They can greatly assist business in plotting out appropriate courses of action. Customer response from surveys help marketers measure, manage and improve customer loyalty. A survey provides clear indications for improvements and developments of long-term goals. So customer satisfaction surveys are extremely important. They can guide the organization through suggestions, through supportive comments and criticisms from customers. Appropriate strategies can be selected, appropriate courses of action taken, which will help in promoting the image of the business and ensuring better customer satisfaction. A survey can be delivered to customers using a range of methods. It could be delivered, for example, in store, simply asking the customers to complete a short survey if they make a purchase. It could be done online, which is quite popular. It could be a telephone survey. That may be slightly more controversial because telephone surveys have come in for a lot of criticism recently because they are intrusive. They occupy people at a time of day when they don't want to be occupied. They want to have rest time and spend some time with their family, perhaps after a hard day's work. It could be door to door. Not used so much nowadays, but it could be that certain addresses are targeted and people simply ask for assistance. And less likely it could be SMS. Less likely because SMS itself is quite a restricted way of collecting information. Now let's look at the customer satisfaction survey in a little more detail. Customer satisfaction surveys enable marketers to relate to customer experiences, pick up on the key concerns of the customers, the positive aspects associated with the product in the minds of the customers, as well as the negative. And it's an indication for the business. The comments coming back can act as an indication for future development, for refinement of the product or refinement of the customer experience. Ongoing feedback. Well, continuous feedback provides initiatives for management to continue working with their teams and to continue providing excellent customer service. So ongoing feedback is seen as important. It's not a question of simply conducting a survey once every few months. It's necessary to stay up to date and have this as a rolling activity, one which is put out all the time. There should be strategy for collecting the information, for the analysis of the information, and for some way of acting on it. So the organization should have dedicated resources towards collecting this information, analyzing it, and then acting on it. So customer satisfaction surveys enable marketers to have service recovery, identify any shortfalls and negative feedback, and deal with the situation in the best possible approach. Service recovery means that the customer did not receive the service that he or she anticipated. The product was faulty, or there was some issue with the product, or the product did not do what the company claims it would do. So that's a shortfall in the service, and it's necessary to pick up on these comments and to arrest any negativity at an early stage so that the product image is not damaged. So it's important to find out what the customers think and act upon it in a speedy manner. It's also important to analyze and implement, to review the results and identify any trends and offer solutions for improvements. Markets change, customers change, customer requirements change, and this may be reflected in part of the customer satisfaction survey, so that the organization can then pick up on the changes that the customers desire and start to initiate a program of change, of research and development itself, to bring about products which more closely match customer requirements. So a survey can be used to measure customer satisfaction at different stages of the buying process. It could be post-purchase evaluation. The customers have bought the product. Now it's important to find out what their experiences are of using the product. It could be periodic satisfaction surveys used from time to time, perhaps once a month or once every 6 months or whatever it is. It could be periodic. It could be that could be deemed to be the most appropriate way. The company doesn't want to annoy the customers with continual approaches looking for information. They just want to pick up some information and perhaps return and ask for some more a long time afterwards. In other words, let the customers relax with the product, use the product, and later on come back and ask for their experiences. Could be continuous satisfaction survey, but as I said earlier, the danger with this is that it may be seen as intrusive, taking up people's time, asking them to continually fill out forms or to answer questions, and it may be too much. It may be seen by the customer as too invasive, and it could alienate the customer from the company. Collecting customer satisfaction research at different stages provides a thorough analysis for market planning and research reliability. So, having a program of research, customer satisfaction survey, and picking up this research, that's valuable. A balance has to be struck. What is the right amount, and what are the correct methods of approach? So let's look at the post-purchase evaluation. A survey conducted at the time of the product purchase or service delivery. So perhaps someone has purchased something in a store, and when the order has gone through, they're invited to give some comments, to complete a short survey, perhaps completed with the cooperation of the sales staff who fill out the form for them and just gently take them through the questions. There are lots of issues in what I've just said, of course. The staff would have to be appropriately trained, and the accuracy of the responses may be subject to some error, because perhaps the person filling out the form did not record accurately, or the intention of what was said was not picked up in the answer. This survey is mainly used for customer relationship programs and voice of the customer systems. So it's, generally speaking, the post-purchase evaluation is for looking at customer relationship programs. How does the organization link to the customer? To what extent does the company provide products that the customers want and offer good service to the customers? It's picking up that type of information. The focus of this survey is to ensure long-term relationships with customers can be secured. The company is trying to build up a long-term relationship to have future sales, or perhaps sales of related products or complementary products. So the company is trying to build up a database of customers interested in their products and then use the database for future promotions. Now, the periodic satisfaction surveys, the ones I mentioned earlier, well, surveys conducted on a regular or periodic basis. The aim is to ensure customer satisfaction is high throughout the organisation. So it's important to have periodic ones. It's felt for some products. Periodic means perhaps the product is a durable product for the home. It's perhaps wise to pick up the customer's evaluation at the point of purchase, but then to follow up perhaps a month later or 6 months later with subsequent surveys to find out what their experiences were. What went wrong, what's gone right, what do they like about the product, what do they dislike about the product, what would they like to see in any future development of the product. Surveys can be organised for specific customers and groups and can be broken down into customer segments. So it is possible to, in a sense, stratify this sample, this satisfaction survey. It could be stratified by male, female, or by age, or by locality. So it can be stratified in various ways, and that could help the company to identify niches in the market and segments of the market. Now, the continuous satisfaction survey that I mentioned earlier. Well, surveys are carried out frequently, and customers are encouraged to take part in surveys through incentives. So the company recognizes that this may be seen as very intrusive, taking up people's time and almost invading their privacy. But through the use of incentives, customers may be willing to participate. And typical incentives may be that they're entered into a free prize draw, or they have a chance to get discounts on the products or related products in the future, or the possibility of getting holidays from draws and that sort of thing. So all sorts of incentives may be offered to try and encourage customers to participate and give feedback. This is part of management initiatives to ensure customer satisfaction is at high levels. The whole reason for continuous satisfaction surveys is to try and find out what the customer satisfaction level is and see what can be done to further improve it. Now, how to design a survey? Well, the purpose of a survey is to measure the following: a customer satisfaction and experience with products and service. That's the core of what the survey is about, trying to determine what the customer's satisfaction is and what they think of the service, the design, the functionality, the pricing, the delivery. So it's trying to get an overall view of the customer in the context of the purchase of this particular product. And also trying to determine the likelihood of repeat purchases. To what extent will this customer come back and buy another one or recommend it to a friend? The prospect of word-of-mouth advertising. Will a customer recommend a friend or a relative or a colleague? If the customer has a bad experience, they're unlikely to recommend it to a friend or a family member, and hence sales will be lost. So it's important to try and work out what the customer is thinking. A customer satisfaction survey tends to revolve around the following key aspects. Obviously, the product. Clearly, the customer survey must consider the product, all aspects of the product: design, functionality, price, delivery, warranties, and so on. It must consider the product in considerable detail. It must look at the delivery of the product. Will it be delivered on time? Is there a waiting list? How long will the customer have to wait for the product? Look at the staff and customer service. How was the customer dealt with by the staff at the time of purchase? Was it polite and a pleasant experience, or perhaps they were rushed through and not dealt with properly. They're not treated as valued customers. What's the company's reputation? Are they buying a high-end product, or are they buying a mid-range product? What are they buying exactly? What's the reputation of the product? How strong is the branding on the product? Is the product a good price compared to its competitors? Is it expensive? Is it overpriced? Where does it sit in terms of the pricing scheme vis-a-vis perhaps alternative or related products? Now, designing a survey, well, the product, look at the quality and product guarantees. That must be built into the survey. There must be questions about that. The design of the product and accessibility of the product range. That's important. Products should be seen as contemporary and up-to-date and desirable. Fits in with the image of the time in which we live. The life of the product and consistency of quality. What's the durability of the product? Will it last, or has it got a reputation for breaking down very quickly? Or what's the quality of the product? What's the image of the product? What's the reputation? The delivery, is it timely? Will the product arrive with the customer soon after purchase, or will there be a long waiting list, a long waiting time? So what's the speed of the delivery? The company's reputation and customer trust. Does the customer know the company, know the name of the company, know the reputation of the company? Is the customer buying because of the reputation of the company? Because there is trust. And is that reputation justified? The customer and business-to-business relationships. Looking at customer to business, or even business to business, because sometimes businesses buy from businesses. So look at those relationships and see, does the company deal with customers differently to dealing with businesses? In what ways? And is one side disadvantaged as a consequence? Does the company pay too much attention to its business customers, perhaps at the expense of retail customers? How easy was it to do business with the company in terms of getting the product, receiving the product, going through the buying process, payments, competitive nature of the product? How easy was it to deal with the business? And these should also all be addressed within the survey. There should be questions on all of those areas, properly worded, but essentially asking for some feedback on these areas. Now, the staff and customers. Well, it's important that the customers see the staff as helpful. The staff is the linkage between the business and the customer. The staff is the in-between part. It's the link between the two. So the staff should be courteous and friendly and supportive. The sales staff knowledge about the product and features should be also questioned. It's very off-putting if the member of staff who is selling the product doesn't know the product, doesn't know what the product can do, or doesn't know its functionality or its suitability under certain circumstances. The sales staff should have knowledge of the product. The level and appropriateness of complaints handling. What if there is an issue? Is there a facility for the customer to contact the company to make a complaint or to seek some advice about the product? Or is it the case that the customer buys the product and is then on his or her own? The staff should be responsive to inquiries. The staff should follow up on inquiries and make sure that the customer is dealt with appropriately and that their concerns are addressed. Their concerns are dealt with, and dealt with adequately. There's no remaining issue. The customer should be completely satisfied. There should be an after-sales and technical service. For many products that rely on perhaps technology or on advanced electronics, or it's not fair to ask the customer to understand the workings of the equipment or of the product. So it's only fair that there is after-sales service, and it should be recognized that circuit boards do fail, electronics fail, or components may break, or there may be faulty assembly, or there may be some issue in terms of the quality of the product. So, and having a good after-sales service is important, because that may save the day. It may save the reputation of the business. And in terms of competitive pricing, what's the value for money? What's the customer getting for his or her money? Is it good value? How does it rate against competitors' products? So look at the competitive price structure within the sector. Look at imported goods, and look at what different producers are putting on the market. Look at the functionality of the goods. Look at the range of services the goods can perform. Look at the price of the good and try to evaluate whether it represents good value for money. So look at the market price, and look at what's happened to the market price perhaps over the last time period, over the last 6 months or over the last year. Is the product falling in price? Is that symptomatic of something wrong with the product, so the company has to reduce the price to get more sales? Why is the market price where it is? What is the relationship between the market price for the product and those of its competitors? There are different methods to conduct customer satisfaction surveys, and different channels can include, with every purchase made by a customer, simply ask the customer to complete a form. Well, as I said earlier, there are training issues involved here. The member of staff, the sales staff, who's asked the customer to complete the form may be needed to guide the customer in the completion of the form. And in guiding the customer, there is an opportunity to introduce bias, which will be dangerous for the company if they are reliant on that feedback. It could be mailed or online questionnaire survey. Online surveys are becoming very popular, but again, because there are so many of them, because it's easy to do, to design an electronic form and send it to so many customers in emails, customers see it as intrusive, unwanted. It's taking their time. Why should they? And even the prospect has been entered into a free draw, a free raffle of some sort, for even though it's for an expensive foreign holiday or whatever, for a car. They may think, well, we don't know when the draw is going to be exactly. We have to search out the time when the draw will take place. We're not too sure how many people will be involved in the draw, and so on. So again, it doesn't help. So these type of questionnaires are becoming less useful. Customers are building up a resistance to them. Telephone research is very tricky, because companies are seen as spamming people and calling people at the wrong times. People are about to sit down for their evening meal and there's somebody calling from a different country perhaps, asking about a product, or they don't want the call. And they also feel that they're just being used by the companies. Sometimes companies will use auto dialers to call members of the public. An auto dialer means the number is just randomly generated, and if there is an answer, if the phone rings, they will wait to see if the phone rings, and then they will try to conduct a survey or try to sell a product. It's very similar. So the use of telephone research is getting a very bad reputation. Could be in person, door to door. Very expensive to do, and also maybe seen as intrusive. And a lot of people are worried about security, so they don't want to open the door and talk to some stranger about a product. Door-to-door sales teams are becoming less obvious in the use of survey techniques. There's less of them used. It's expensive. Not everyone wants to participate. They see it as intrusive. They're busy people going about their daily chores, and someone knocks on the door and asks for help completing a survey. So it's not a good use of resources. Each channel has different expectations in regard to survey design. In order to gain information about customer satisfaction, a survey must consist of a range of open questions and closed questions. So, having looked at some of the issues in trying to get the questionnaire or the survey responded to, it's then necessary to work out what sort of survey is going to be delivered. Well, essentially there are two types of questions. There's open questions, where someone's asked about their opinion and they're free to say whatever they wish, positive or negative. But there could also be closed questions, where the respondent can only pick from a set of answers. So, do you like the product? That's the question, and the question is, yes, I like it very much, I like it somewhat, I'm indifferent, I'm not particularly interested in the product, I completely dislike the product. So the person must pick one of those. That's a closed question. So there are two types, open and closed questions. Survey design can consist of numerical ratings, and customers can rate the level of satisfaction using a scale rating. This is sometimes called a Likert scale, but there are different types of scales that may be used, Thorsten and so on. But we'll deal with the Likert scale in other videos, by the way. The way a numerical rating works is that they're asked to put a figure against some question. So the question may be, to what extent do you think this product is good value for money? Where 5 is excellent and 0 is it is not value for money at all. So they're asked to give a number between 0 and 5 inclusive. They could give it a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or a 5. And they pick a number. And that is held to represent their attitude towards that question. For example, on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is unsatisfactory and 5 is extremely satisfied with products and services. So they just simply pick a number, and that number rates the value of their answer. Scale ratings are mostly short, with a maximum of 7. This makes it easy to quantify. The problem with having numbers like this is that they can be misinterpreted by the company. It's sometimes wrongly done by survey personnel that they will work out average responses, and they will work out they'll start to add the responses, and work out average overall. Well, it's not really designed like that, because these are subjective evaluations, and it's very dangerous to start working out averages like this. Dangerous because it could lead to faulty decision making. Daffy in 2001 identifies different approaches to survey design and collecting customer feedback. And this is quite a useful way to look at different ways of collecting customer feedback. The emphasis here is on making questionnaires more interesting and engaging for customers, and equally provide valuable information about customer satisfaction. So the questionnaires should be more interesting, more engaging. The person who's engaged in completing the survey should find it interesting, an interesting activity. The following are some examples of Daffy 2001 questionnaire design and effective methods for collecting customer satisfaction information. So some of them are just sheets with different drawings and illustrations, and the person finds it interesting. It's not a boring sheet with just 5 or 7 different boxes to tick and you pick one and so on, move on to the next question. These are more, it's more designed, it's more thought out. So let's look at this framework and see what we think about it. Take this one for example. How fast were we in delivering your order? And here's the scale. The scale is, one end is a snail and the other end is a cheetah. Well, cheetah is the fastest animal in the world. Place an X on the line. So just put an X on the line. There's no scale on the line, it's just put an X. Are you closer to the snail or closer to the cheetah? And it's a pictorial representation of the response. Just put an X on the line. And there is no numbers involved. There's no trying to work out is it a 4 or a 5 or a 2 or a 3 or whatever. Just put an X on the line. It's more interesting as a question. Please rate our service as follows, and lots of smiley faces and not so smiley faces. Some faces are very smiley. The mouth is very U-shaped. Some it's more elongated, so not such good value. Neutral, where it's horizontal, and then poor value, where it's more like a little hill. And here's the smiley face you were given, and just right at the bottom of the writing, there's the number of drawings. It doesn't take a lot of artistic ability just to be able to draw one of those on the face. So it's I think it's a response that anyone can make. Just draw in one of those mouths, one of those drawings, and that'll indicate the extent to which you're happy with the product or whatever it was. Please assess our speed of delivery and our friendliness. Well, was it fast or was it slow? Was it friendly or was it unfriendly? So it could be unfriendly and fast, or it could be unfriendly and slow, or it could be friendly and fast and friendly and slow. Just put an X in the box. There are 4 boxes. Which one is best? Was it friendly and slow or unfriendly and slow? Or was it fast, friendly, fast and unfriendly? Which one was it? Just put an X into the appropriate box. So the respondent is given a picture and just fills out the picture. It's more interesting. It's more interesting. What's the next picture like? And can I answer the following picture? They're more engaged than just simply taking a question and trying to give an answer. That sounds boring. So to put an X in the box, as I said, in for this one, and that's it done. Please assess the quality of our product. So here we've got 5 stars is excellent, 4 is very good, and so on. 1 is very bad. How many stars did you give our product? So just write down 1, 2, 3, 4. Just write 4. I gave it 4, which means it's very good. So the respondent is able to look at this and just give an answer. Just write the answer into the box. When thinking about our product, what word comes to your mind? Please circle a word from the list or supply a word if it's not on the list. So think about the product. What do you think? Which word comes to your mind? So just look over these words. Which one comes to your mind? And if it's not, if the right word is not here, just add the word you think. So it's, again, engaging with the respondent. So it's likely to get a better response. Now we have quality gauges as well. We have something like, please rate the quality of our product by placing an X in the diagram. So what's the quality? Just put an X anywhere in there. The X could be, it's acceptable, or it's somewhere between acceptable and good, or it could be somewhere between poor and bad. Just put an X in. Just put an X anywhere inside the diagram that you think shows the quality of the product. So X1, for example, it could show a lack of enthusiasm for the product. It's acceptable. It's not good, but it's acceptable. So there's no enthusiasm for the product. It's not something that the customer is very enthusiastic about. The product it's acceptable, which means the company needs to work harder to improve the quality of the product. If it was X2, this shows some interest in the product, but more effort is required to secure long-term custom. So the customers just put the X over, said it's good, but it's not excellent. It needs to go into the next quadrant. It needs to go onto the excellent line, ideally. So the company needs to work on the quality. Would you recommend our product to your friends? Yes or no? Again, a well-designed question. It's a visual question. Yes or no? You might want to add in yes, no, don't know, not sure. But it depends on how you want to rate it. How would you rate the quality of our service? It's another way of posing the question earlier. Well, you'd rate it as extremely bad or extremely good. Just indicate which one you think is best. So it could be using what's known as the Likert scale. Now the Likert scale, the respondents may be attracted to the middle. If an even number of choices, then the respondent must select one side or the other. So here, the question we've got here is 1 to 5. Well, that's an odd number. With the Likert scale, people may be pulled into the center. People tend to go to the center anyway. So they'll go, it's a 3. It's in the center. You might get some with a 2 or a 4. But sometimes people are reluctant to give a 1 because they feel it's insulting to the person conducting the survey, or a 5. They don't want to be seen to be trying to please the person conducting the survey, so they tend to be pulled into the center. However, if there was an even number, not 5 as we've got here, let's say we had 6, then they have to come down on one side or the other. If they come down on let's say they gave it a 3, that means it's bad. If they gave it a 4, it means it's good. It's on the good side. So having an even number forces respondents to make a decision. Remember, attitudinal scales are by definition, they're subjective. They're not scales that can be tested. And even if you ask the same question to the same person a few times, you might get different responses. We're not entirely consistent in the way we answer questions. Describe in about 30 words how you would describe your experience of using online learning. Now, that could be a question. And you can see there's a little box here. The box is good psychology because the person writing it knows that's all they're expected to do. And they may not want to take all that box, they just write a couple of sentences in the center. It forces them to bring out the essentials of what they want to say. There's no luxury here. They can't elaborate. They just state the point. Describe in about 30 words what improvements you would like to see in our product. Again, a little box, just say about 30 words, it could be less, but they're just asked to just jot down a few ideas about the product. Now, the layout of a customer satisfaction survey, well, the survey title. It's logical to have a survey title. It must have a title too, so that it can be administered properly. Introduction and purpose of the survey. Participants must give consent before they proceed with the survey. It's important to get the consent of the respondent. It's not right to engage with people who have not given their consent, because it's unfair to them, and they could be identified perhaps and targeted by organizations subsequently, and that would be very unfair. So having participants giving their consent is important. Are they willing to participate? If they are, then it's possible to go forward. But there should be an introduction, and the purpose of the survey should be clearly and honestly explained. Then put in the questions, a range of open and closed questions which are relevant to the purpose of the survey. And the questions could be of the Daffy type, the ones we just mentioned, where they're very pictorial and very engaging. Just asking the respondent to look at the pictures, perhaps having nice colour pictures, and they just indicate what they think. There's a chance of getting a better response rate using that type of approach. And closing the survey, thank the respondents for their time and ensure all their queries have been answered. And also ensure that there is anonymity, that they're not going to have unnecessary intrusive follow-up surveys, or they're going to be subjected to continuous almost harassment by survey companies because their names or contact details have been passed on to other companies, which is very unfair. Customer satisfaction surveys must be designed to meet the needs of the audience. A survey is only successful if it provides valid information to the organization. So it's important that only the questions that need to be asked are asked. Is it absolutely vital to ask a person's gender, for example? Is it absolutely vital to ask which area the person lives in? Perhaps some surveys don't need that. Is it important to find out if the person is married or single, or is it important to find out if they've recently been to hospital? Do these questions relate to the survey? Why are those questions in if they don't relate to the survey? Only questions which are relevant should be asked. And even then, those questions should be carefully piloted to ensure their relevance. A customer satisfaction survey must not be biased or indirectly influence the customer. Information will be unreliable if that happens. So in the pilot run for the exercise, when the survey is being piloted, areas of bias should be identified and corrections taken. The wording of the questions should be carefully looked at to ensure that they're not leading questions and not pulling the respondent down a particular road, pulling the respondent to respond in a particular way. They should be checked for bias, and that's very important. Surveys must be confidential, and customers must feel confident to answer the questions truthfully. It's not always the case in telephone and face-to-face surveys, but it should be confidential, and only information which is, as I said, absolutely required, absolutely essential, should be collected. There is no need to ask other questions. These are some of the ideas associated with customer surveys. It's an important topic because it's an important way in which businesses can develop products and develop their strategies and develop the way in which they're moving within the market. It picks up on problems that customers have related to price, design, quality, after-sales service, and so on. And it's important that the company is aware of these. So this is a good tool to use. But as we've seen right throughout this session, care must be paid at all times to ensure that there's confidentiality and relevance, and that the questions are properly designed and engaging. But there are many issues to be concerned with in the design and delivery of this type of survey. So it's a video that's worth looking at and considering in detail. Make your own notes, run over it a few times, and make sure that you understand the issues, the central issues that should be borne in mind when thinking about delivering customer surveys. That's the reference that we used in terms of the design of the questions and making the questions more interesting and more engaging. That's all we're going to deal with in this video, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.